Okay, so last year, when 4th of July came around, I bought a couple different things to test out for the kids because we live in an area where we can do smoke bombs, sparklers, things like that. But when I was a kid, I burnt my finger plenty of times, and granted, while that's part of the experience, I didn't want the kids to have to go through that. And so as a test, I picked up some of these electric arc lighters. I'd seen them before. They're advertised as windless lighters. You charge them through a USB port on a computer. And so I was kind of intrigued because if I look at the length of the unit itself for a child to hold it in their hands, they're plenty away from the ignition source. And I thought that might be a pretty good way to use for fireworks. So what's making me show everybody this today is not only are these awesome for fireworks, these are just fantastic, period. I love them. And one of the things I like so much about them is they're cheap and they work, in my opinion, much better than I would use for a lot of lighters. Okay, so I wanted to go over a few reasons why I think these are so cool and kind of demonstrate them. Another thought kind of occurred to me this last year is because these charge so easily with a USB cable, assuming you have a power source, these are compact enough to easily fit in a backpack. And so if you brought a portable battery pack with you, a solar charger, you essentially have a survival companion. Instead of having a box of matches, I could light countless fires with this now. This would last a long time, let alone if you had a solar charger. So not only were these great for around the house and for the kids for fireworks, I think for a lot of you, if you go camping or in the woods, this might be a good survival tool. Now, the only thing I haven't tested and we won't be testing is how well it would survive getting wet. This is an electronic after all, so I wouldn't want to submerge it, but if you were to wrap it up and keep it in a bag, I think it'd do fine. And you can get them in varying shapes and sizes. So if you're to get the size for what you need, the effect should be pretty much the same. Again, I liked the long stick for the distance. So now what we're gonna go do is just see how well this little lightning stick in my hand actually works. And if we listen, they sound pretty cool too. Okay, so since I'm gonna be setting things on fire in a bedroom, I wanted to make sure and take the proper precautions and get ready. So I unplugged the smoke detector so I don't have to listen to it beep, otherwise it would. So the first thing we're gonna test on here is a simple household candle. This would probably be the easiest thing to do. And so what we do on this model is we simply flip this switch up to turn it on. You're gonna get your charge level. And then from there, you're just hitting the battery to start it. Now, if this was turned off, the switch keeps it off. And so again, what's nice about these, because there's no flame, there's no heat. So I don't have to worry about getting burned on here. Okay, here we go. Okay, there's one side. Okay, and so the other thing that's kind of nice too with the long reach is I'm not worried about burning myself or melting my arm hair while I light the other sides. Okay, one more. And again, the long reach makes it nice. Okay, we've lit a candle. Nothing miraculous here. So let's kind of keep going. I've been guilty of more than once getting bored in my bedroom and kind of lighting paper on fire and kind of just playing around. And what I've kind of learned with this is the way it works is you've got the two arc points. And so if the object you're trying to light is resting against one of those, it may or may not do anything. In this case, the arc was strong enough to go through the paper. Sometimes you have to float it in between to get it to go. So let's fold the paper over and see if that happens. Okay, so now we've got a thicker object. Let's see if the arc will go through. So right there, nothing happened. So what's going on? Let's try to get a better shot at what's actually happening. The arc isn't making its way around correctly. But if I try to hold it in the gap, now the arc is lighting the side of the paper. So what happens there is obviously that didn't light. So now the question is, well, is this really going to work in a survival situation? So what it is, brought up some arts kind of craft sticks to simulate more so what you'd be doing. So you definitely want to find some dry leaves, twigs, something on there to try to light. But again, this would be something of this equivalent. You should be able to find it. If not, bring some dry stuff with you in your survival bag. And one thing too on here, you can see there's some lighting, especially candles. They'll leave some waxy residue on there. Sometimes you have to kind of just clean these points on here. There we go. We got the candle off. Okay, try to light this now. And you might have to give it a couple hits to actually get the object to light. There we go. I was feeling a little silly there for a second. Okay, so we got this stick to burn. Wet your fingers. All right, so as an example, if we were to, in a real situation, you'd probably be breaking things apart so you get some thinner strands. It'd be a lot easier to go. And again, fire rises, so if you hold your stuff upside down, obviously it lights a lot easier. But again, if we were out in the woods or camping, we got a fire going on now. So hopefully this was helpful for you guys, especially if you've never seen one of these before. If this doesn't help, unfortunately now my wife's room stinks for nothing. So these are pretty cheap on here. I tried to put up just some examples on the TV behind me, but I know it's not coming through on the screen. I'll go ahead and put a link below of where you can find these. Some of the smaller ones I know will have like a 4-pattern cross. Those would be really good for if you do smoke a cigarette or cigar. That would be a good way to light. I think for more general use, these ones are a little bit better, and they have some with a flexible head too. So let's say you were lighting some candles, kind of hard to reach spot. That's a good way to go. But again, going forward, I keep one of these in our camper. I use it for lighting the stove, anything kind of there and about. From all the examples you saw on the screen, I'm still getting 4 out of 5 bars on here. And so I would say you'd probably get 50, 60 lights out of it, depending on the size of the battery and the lifespan of it. Again, over the last year, this has done a lot of lights. And so again, with a battery pack on here, I could charge this up in no time and have a full charge again. So hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you find this useful. If you don't have one of these, I highly recommend it. All right, thanks for watching.